G'day guys, here we're going to look at the TS55 track saws. Here I'll show you the product features, accessories and consumables, and also how to maintain your tool so you get the most out of it. So here we'll just take a look at the TSC and the TS55. Here's our depth adjustment. So all we do with that is we just push that in from the side and we can lift that up and down to our depth of cut. So maximum depth of cut's 55 off the rail and 50mm on the rail. You can see here that we've got a mark FS, and FS is when we're using the guide rail system. The mark to the left hand side is when we're off the rail, and this could be when we're using a parallel guide or cutting up against a wall directly onto the floor or something like that. So to cut 30mm while using the rail, we'd set it to 30mm on FS, and 30mm off the rail will be 30mm to the left hand side. There's also an adjustment here so that if you sharpen your blades, you can calibrate your blade to the 0 point, which we'll take a look at in maintenance. For our dust extraction, so we've got our dust extraction at the back here. Again, you've got 36mm hose on the outside, maybe if you're doing cement sheet materials, anything like that, and a 27mm hose inside there. This can also be removed for the bag if we want to put the bag onto the TS as well. Yeah, up top you've got your fast fix here for your blades. We'll go through blade change in the maintenance, and you've got your Allen key in the hood of this one, and on the cordless saw you've got it into the actual handle itself. So angles, so when we're looking at angles here, we've got fixings both at the front and at the back. So now we can pivot it, and here's our pointer here. So we've got a pointer to go from 0 to 45, and we can also go to 47 -1. So wherever we want that, we can just lock it up the front and then lock the back up. When we want to go to 47 degrees, all we do is we bring that out, and at the back we've got this green little lock nut. Just bring that out, and that'll allow that to pivot over to 47. When we bring it back, that'll locate it back into 45 degrees. When we want to do undercuts and we want to go to -1, all we do is we come out to the front here, we bring this lever out, we also pull that back lever, and that now puts it into -1, so it may be that we're backing off an edge or whatever it might be, and this sits out. When we bring this back up, it'll locate back into 90 degrees, so that always brings it back into that 90 degree cut. So on the front here we've got our little clear view window. That's also got a mark on it here, and that just gives you the extent of the blade when the blade's at full depth. This comes when we're doing plunge cuts. We'll have a look at that. And when we're cutting with that, it's important that that's all the way down, and what that does, that redirects the dust back up into the dust extraction there. Here we've also got a little indent for when we're plunge cutting, so this gives us the exact back of the blade, and this is when it's set at full depth, so that when we do our plunge cut, when it's on the rail, it'll only cut to that extent. So if we're cutting a sink top out, it gives us an alignment just through there. Also, what's in the kit is the splinter guard, and the idea of the splinter guard is when we're using the guide rail, we can get a good quality cut on both sides of the blade. So the little window comes out, this thing comes up in, and we've got a lock nut that'll just lock that in place. And the idea of that is that when we lock that so that it's hard down on the material, and when we turn the saw on, it'll actually cut its way into that and support the right hand side of the blade. So we've got the guide rail on that, and that gives us a good quality cut on both sides. At the back there we've got variable speed, so this comes back when we're using the variety of different blades with it. So blades for cutting aluminium, laminates, even cement sheet products, we can increase or decrease the speed to suit. And on the base of the saw, we've just got the recess here, and these are again our little cam locks that we can adjust, and this is what's going to allow it to run smooth on the guide rail. And they've also got these other little supports here that are replaceable. Just on the cordless, again with that, so here we've got the variable speed, again to be able to use all the different blades from the system, and We can use either a single battery in there as an 18 volt, or if we need more speed cutting thicker materials, we can then bring that up to a 36 volt. So these are just a few bit of an overview of the tool and some of the workings in it. This is just a bit of an overview on a few of the accessories you can get for the plunge saws. Firstly, for the cordless, you've got standard 18 volt batteries and also the option for Bluetooth. We've got an array of blades, so a whole system of blades using the variable speed, aluminium blades, laminate blades, cement sheet products, and then a few different types of timber blades, some fine tooth blades, some rip cutting blades. Where we want to, we can also hook a bag onto these. So the bag will just clip onto the back. If we're not using dust extraction, we can still keep things clean with the bag. Just to enhance your dust extraction also, we can fit a cover. So the cover will just sit into there, and what that'll do, that'll just cover up the main part. Particularly if we're using a really dusty product like a cement sheet or an MDF, we can use a cover plate as well. And of course our guide rails that start at 800 mil, go all the way up to 5 metres, so an array of those to fit all different applications as well. So these are just a few of the common accessories for the plunge saws. Just a couple of maintenance tips to get the most out of the plunge saws. Firstly, with the blades, sometimes with that you can get a lot of build up on the blade, so ideally keeping these clean. This is one of our fibre cement blades, but if you've got a type of cleaner, can make all the difference to when we're using it. It's just to clean a lot of that off, especially with some of the timber blades, because it tends to build up on there, and whereas people think the blades are actually blunt, it's just that they're covered with a lot of sap or whatever it could be, or build up. So just by keeping those blades clean will give you a lot better quality of cut. Just for blades change with these, so when we're doing blade change here, ideally what we've got to do is drop this depth adjustment all the way down. Then all we do is we flick that fast fix up, and then we drop the saw down. So what that does, if it's plugged in or whether it's a cordless, it kills the switch. It also locks the arbor there, and then with the Allen key we can then bring that round, unlock it, take that out. It does help sometimes if you just push that riving knife up, just gives you a little bit of a clearer area to be able to do that, and then to change the blade up again. So it's got two little notches to line up to make sure that it's firm onto the blade, and then just nip that up, bring it over the side. It has got quite a heavy spring, so just support it and then just flick that one back down. So that's blade change there. Now the other tip too is, with a lot of the blades, they've got really solid tungsten carbide, good quality, and they can be sharpened numerous times. So when we do sharpen our blade, we reduce the diameter, and we can zero it in by using just this little wheel on top there. So this is the wheel that actually stops it at our depth when we plunge it. So because I'm off the rail now, we've got our depth adjustment. I'm just going to set it to 0 on the left hand side there, and that should just allow my blade just to come into contact with the MDF. Okay, and as you can see there, it's just a little bit too deep. So all we do now is just use the Allen key, and we can just wind that up a little bit there, plunge it down. Okay, it's actually perfect now. You can hear that just with the blades just touching the MDF. So yeah, that's the idea of that. That'll stay in one spot, but we can move that up and down and always calibrate our blade to 0, and that means that when we're working with our depth adjustment, it's always going to be perfect. Okay, so guide rail supports as well underneath. So this is where we're going to be adjusting the cams, these little cams onto our rail, to make sure there's no movement. We only have to adjust that once, But one thing that can happen is that eventually these can wear. So with this particular saw, we can remove those by just plugging them out, and then we can replace those as well. So we get that and we can flick that out and we can just plug them in. So if it comes a stage where these might be worn through, it's easy enough just to buy those couple of things, and then you've got it ready to go again on that. Just another one for quality of cut is when changing splinter guards. So these are the two different splinter guards. We've seen this one. This has already been cut and this is a new one. So where we want a really good quality cut, particularly on the right hand side of the blade, it may be when we're ripping the middle of a sheet. All we do here is we just drop this one into there. Just pop that hard down on the material to start. We can lock that up. And then you can see now what happens is when we actually plunge that in, that'll cut its way just into that splinter guard, and that supports that right hand side of the blade. So we can just pop that over the edge. Just set our depth down fraction. And so you can see exactly what that's done. It's just cut its way into that splinter guard, and the idea of that is when you're using it in conjunction with the guide rail, we can get a good quality cut on both sides. So this is just a couple of maintenance tips to help you get the most out of the TS55.